Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me first of all say a hearty thanks to Joe and Karen Frager for opening up their home and letting us overrun their home. I mean, it's a tremendous turnout, and I'm deeply grateful that all of you have gathered out here. And I know there's lots of things that could occupy your attention and your time, and the fact that you have given up a Monday evening to be here, it means a lot, and I want to say thank you. But thanks to Joe and Karen for their hospitality tonight. I'm not going to thank you. Go ahead and give them an eye pen. I'm going to speak just a few brief moments. I should be finished by 10:30, 11 o'clock, so, to put you at ease. No, I've always learned that the smartest thing is to hopefully speak so as people wishing that they had more, rather than speaking so as people are saying, my gosh, I thought that guy would never, ever quit. So I want to just spend a few moments with you. This has been an interesting day because over the weekend I made some comments about the Iranian deal. And apparently they stirred some people up. I've decided that when you're taking flack, it only proves one thing. You are directly over the target. That's and so today, the President of the United States attacked me by name from his Ethiopian news conference, and I could not be more honored and thrilled than to realize that I said something that, of course, he wanted to dismiss and label as ridiculous. But as I've said all day, what's ridiculous is that our government has made a deal with a country that has spent 36 years under the Ayatollahs threatening to kill every last Jew and every American. And yes, Israel is in the crosshairs of the Iranians. They're close, but they've always said that Israel is the little Satan and the United States is the great Satan. For 36 years, they have consistently said it is their goal and hope to destroy America and to wipe Israel off the face of the map. This weekend, when I was in an interview with a radio outlet, and we were talking about the Iranian deal, I made a comment that apparently has stirred the waters. And today, everybody on the left has demanded, not just called for, demanded that I apologize. Let me share with you what I said. But more importantly, I want you to hear tonight why I said it. Because what I said was that this Iranian deal is dangerous. And that when we trust people who have threatened to kill Jews, people who have been chased across this globe for 6,000 years as people have attempted to kill them. When people now say, and not just some blogger on the internet, but the official position of a government to kill every Jew. One of the government officials said that he's glad that there is an Israel, glad that the Jews have congregated there because they won't have to chase them all over the world. They find them in one place. That was a government official. The Ayatollah said that one of his goals is to make sure that there is going to be another Holocaust. So what I said is that this horrible deal is horrible because it is as if this government of ours and President Obama has walked people to the door of the ovens. That's harsh. I said it out of conviction. And I tell you tonight that I've stood at the door of the ovens at Auschwitz, not once, but 3 times. 3 times I have been there. Every time I have been there, it is the most sobering experience. I've been to Yad Vashem dozens and dozens of times because I've been going to Israel since 1973. 42 years ago. I've been to the Holocaust Museum in Washington. I mean no disrespect. And yes, a lot of the even Jewish organizations, mostly those on the far left, have said he should apologize. He should never invoke the Holocaust. My position is that the purpose for which Yad Vashem was built, the purpose for which we have a Holocaust Museum in Washington, the purpose for which we are grateful that Auschwitz and Birkenau were not completely destroyed but are left there, was so that people would never do what the Iranian government officials have done, and that's deny that the Holocaust happened. We can never accept that. And the other thing we must do is to understand that the reason for having the Holocaust Memorial in Washington and Yad Vashem in Jerusalem is simply that it would never happen again. If a government for 36 years has said, we're going to kill every Jew, do you not think that it would make sense that the people whose families were chased down across the world, and many of them murdered in cold blood by the Nazis, do you not think it would make sense that we would take seriously when someone points a gun at your head and says they're going to kill you? Are we supposed to just pretend that they don't mean it and that they might not do it? The last time that a government didn't take such warnings seriously was when Neville Chamberlain believed that we could have peace in our time. We don't need Chamberlains. We need Churchills who understand the threat that people are under in this world. I've said throughout the day, I've been asked, well, are you going to apologize? I said, I will not only not apologize, but I will express it in as strong a terms as I can. This is from my heart. I'm not Jewish. I'm a Gentile. Why am I so supportive? Because if they come for you, they come for me. If they come for your children, they come for my children. If they kill your grandchildren, they will kill my grandchildren. We cannot for one moment believe that the intentions of the Iranian government are noble. They are not. They kill their own people. They certainly will kill us. And how we could ever make some type of deal with a government that is evil is beyond me. And the reason that I invoked the language of the Holocaust is because the Iranian government invoked that very language in their threat to destroy Israel and America. I'm standing here tonight with you because I'm very aware of the fact, and it hits me every time I'm in Auschwitz. That happened because there were a lot of people across the world, including in the United States, who refused to believe that it was happening until it was too late for 6 million Jews and 11 million people. When I stood in that place where 1.1 million people were brutally murdered, I remind myself it happened because people didn't speak up soon enough. And by the time somebody finally decided to speak up and do something, it was too late for 11 million people and 6 million Jews. I will not stand before a holy God with the blood of people on my hands when I could have said and done something to have interrupted such an evil and horrible mindset of people who are nothing but monsters and savages. Our civilization depends on our treating people with the dignity and respect that people deserve. And when people are demeaned by a government like the Iranians, we cannot take that lightly. We must not. And I pledge to you that if I'm President of the United States, one thing you can rest assured of, we will stop the Iranian deal, and I will make a call. I will make a call to Prime Minister Netanyahu and will pledge to him that my first trip abroad will be to Jerusalem so we can do the ribbon cutting on the embassy in Jerusalem. We need to begin to treat our allies and our friends like our allies and our friends, and treat our enemies like our enemies. As I was saying earlier, I'm convinced that we don't make this a more peaceful world by surrendering and capitulating to a brutal Iranian government. We explore, exploit, and export our energy, and we disrupt the economic capability of the Iranians. We impose the harshest sanctions, but more importantly, we take the market away from them in the world of energy so that Africa, Asia, and Europe get energy from the United States, and the U.S. gets the wealth of the U.S. or the world energy market, not the Russians, not the Saudis, and not the Iranians. Wouldn't we love to put Putin out of business and take the money away from him that he only has because of energy? Wouldn't we love to dry up the economic power and engine of the Saudis, who for so long have held this country hostage and have manipulated energy prices for Americans, and we have bowed to their demands because we were afraid to upset them? I think it's time that we really upset them by exporting energy to the world rather than importing one bit of it, and make so that they don't have the money to fund the madrasas, to train the terrorists, to fly airplanes into our building, and to fund university campus propaganda programs. And to take the Iranians and finally believe that they really are capable of doing what they said. If they cannot take the Jews to the oven door, they will take the oven to the Jews. If we allow them to get a nuclear device, they are crazy enough to use it. And their closest target that they have already announced that they would put in the crosshairs is Israel. But it's not their final solution, because it's only the warm-up act to come after the United States of America. No U.S. president should sit down at the table and make a deal with people who, as the deal is being made, are shouting death to America. That defies common sense. And that's why I hope that you will help me become president, because I can't do it by myself. We have a statement down south. We say that if you ever see a turtle on a fence post, there's one thing you can be absolutely certain of. He did not get there by himself. If I become president of the United States, I'll assure you of this: I did not get there by myself. It takes a lot of people who are willing to help. Help financially, to contribute, because TV stations, radio stations, newspapers, and airlines, when we go places, I know you'll be surprised to hear this, but they never donate their services and time and airwaves so I can get my message out. Today, after the president attacked me by name in Ethiopia, Hillary Clinton came out and did her obligatory Me Too. And she attacked me. Tomorrow I'll be on the Today Show at 7 o'clock in the morning with Matt Lauer. I'm sure it's going to be a real friendly interview. And then later at noon on Outnumbered with the Fox News folks. My message won't change. It'll be the same tomorrow as it was today and as it was over the weekend. We cannot trust this deal. I read all 159 pages of it, and I kept thinking as I read through it would get better. It didn't. It got worse. And I realized that we have made one of the most disastrous foreign policy mistakes in the history of this 239-year-old republic of ours. And it's got to be reversed. I hope this country can hold on and hang on for dear life for the next year and a half. But if I have the privilege of taking the oath of office, I will assure you that this is one president who would never take lightly the threats of a government when they absolutely pledge that they will kill Jews, and ultimately kill Americans. Will not accept that as a foregone conclusion. That's probably Hillary. She wants to... She's calling now. Maybe it's Debbie Wasserman Schultz wanting me to apologize. Folks, it's going to be a long, hard slog. Running for president is tough, especially when 374 other people are running. Some people have said, how are you going to deal with all those other candidates? Real simple. I'm going to ask them all to drop out and endorse me. Maybe that's what we should do. I told you I was going to be brief. Let me just say that there's a lot to be done on the next president's watch. I'll mention that our economy is in trouble, in large measure because we've had a government that's done everything possible to mess it all up. The president keeps saying the economy is in recovery, but I talk to people all over America whose economy is not recovering. It's doing well for some people. I admit that. But for the people who have lifted heavy things for a lifetime of hard work and who sweat through their clothes every day, this economy has been tough on them. And every day I meet people who used to have a decent job that paid well and had some benefits, and now they're working 2 and 3 part-time jobs and barely keeping their head above the water. I was in Aiken, South Carolina about 2.5 weeks ago. We stayed at a little budget hotel, the Fairfield Inn in Aiken. They have a free breakfast, free internet. That's why we stay. Rest assured, we take very good care of your contributions, and we're good stewards and manage it well. I went down at 6 in the morning when they opened up for breakfast, and I was the only one there. So I'm gathering up something to eat, and I'm sitting down there, and the guy that's working the kitchen at the Fairfield Inn in Aiken, South Carolina, he's the only other guy out there, so he comes and we start talking, and turns out that up until 3 years ago, he had a pretty good job. He's a college-educated accountant, and he worked at a manufacturing company in Aiken. And his job was going great. He'd been there for over 20 years. But the company closed the factory, sent all the jobs to Mexico. He and 300 other people all lost their jobs. His house is close to being paid for, so he can't just up and sell, and the market's devastated because of the plant closing. So now he's working not 1, not 2, but 3 part-time jobs in Aiken, South Carolina. No benefits. And he says he's just trying to hold on so he can get his house paid off, which is pretty close to being done. And he's going to try to just see if he can eke out a living. A guy in his 50s who has very little to look forward to. This is the economy we've got to change. We've got to make it so that people can be optimistic about their future. And we have to provide a solid national security so that we are a free country. And let me say, people ask me sometimes, what do I think is the most important issue? National security or the economy? And that's like asking me, which wing of the airplane is the most important? The one on the left or the one on the right? When I fly on a plane, I kind of want both wings to be firmly attached to the fuselage. Both of those wings are important. The next president can't pick one or the other. He's got to pick both. But then there's something else the airplane has to have to fly. The airplane has to have some control mechanism, the ailerons, the flaps, and the rudders. Without the steering mechanism, the plane won't fly, and it certainly won't fly in a direction you want it to go. You see, I believe that in addition to the economy and national security, America needs leadership in another area. Moral clarity, a steering mechanism that says some things are right and some things are wrong. It's where I get my basic sense of why I'm even running for president. Because I believe that we cannot operate our culture, our society, our Constitution was not designed to function in a moral vacuum. It is designed so that we self-govern. We govern ourselves by our conscience of what's right and wrong under the laws. Well, the Declaration of Independence said it this way: the laws of nature and the laws of nature's God. We've lost our way, and the result is we're in real trouble. And that's why I'm running for president. It's not because I was on an ego trip. I had some pundits I heard who said, well, Huckabee's not really serious about running for president. He's just doing it so he can increase his profile and get a TV show and have a book deal and make speeches. And I want to say this shows you how stupid the national media can be because I already had a talk show on TV. I already had written 12 books, and I was having more speeches and speaking opportunities than I could say grace over. So obviously that isn't why. It's because I want my grandkids. There's 5 of them now as of last month. All of whom are 4 years old and younger. Loud at my house. I want them to have the kind of America I've been so blessed to grow up in. And they can't have that if their freedom is being threatened by monsters. So help me. I need it. I hope you will generously give and contribute to the campaign. And I hope you'll tell your friends. Because I say all the time that I need your help, but I need that of your friends, your relatives, people you work with, and your neighbors. And if they're not going to support me, well, tell them just get out of politics altogether. There's no future. And I want to say again, thanks to each of you for making it out here tonight. God bless you. Thank you.
Governor's going to take some questions. Don't leave so fast.
No,
I just want to thank Dr. Paul Brody. I didn't forget you, Paul. He's been very helpful tonight and every other day. Aaron, Rabbi Hertz and Aaron Hertz, are they still here? Right. Aaron provided all the food. This is Aaron's Casino Farms. Rabbi Hertz is here. Okay. Rabbi Kopel, my partner in crime, Atera Kohanim. Don't worry, it's not in crime.